Hey everybody, welcome back. James here again with you. And today I want to kind of keep this video straight and to the point. If you shoot like I do, specifically rimfire, and you shoot for groups to see what you're going to get, the best group you're going to get, you have a gun that throws a cold bore shot. And what I mean by that is the first shot in a group is way off somewhere, and then the next follow-up shots group up really nice. So I got a new gun, and I've had it for a couple weeks now. I just haven't taken it out to 100 yards. Clear, empty. It's the Stevens Savage 6264F. I picked it up at my local Walmart for around $100. And I want to make this video particularly for the 22 LR, but I'll cover the centerfire later in the video. And I want to start off by saying that my 1022, if you guys have been following the channel, you probably seen my how to tune the Ruger 1022. And what was happening was, on my 1022, I was shooting CCI standard velocity, which is great ammo overall. 40 grain lead round nose, really expensive, inexpensive, and closest to the match grade quality, so-called quality that you get. And I've been paying $3.47 a box of 50 for them, and I've only had about a 30 foot per second spread over 1,000 feet per second, more close to 1,100 feet per second out of my 1022 with these. And they're so accurate for the price that they've shot the best group I've ever gotten, especially with the semi-automatic 22 long rifle at 100 yards. These have gotten less than a quarter inch at 100 yards, which there's a video on that too. But reason why this came about was because that gun throws a cold bore shot. Very first shot, way out of the group. And when I got this gun, wasn't accurate out of the box, by the way, just a heads up. But when I got this gun, I had to shoot a couple hundred rounds through it of the CCI standard to see what was going on. So I ended up tuning it like I do, and got the groups to shoot pretty decent. Here's a target that I shot at 45 yards. After I get my gun zero here at the house, I shoot them at 45, then I'll take them out to 100. But 5-shot group. You can see this is the cold bore shot right here. This is the perfect example. And here's 4 shots right here out of the CCI standard velocity, 45 yards. So if it wasn't for that cold bore shot and it was up here, that'd be a super tight group, right? Well, excuse me. I've tried everything. If you see my last 22 LR video, I took the Mossberg Plinkster 702 at 100 yards and was letting you guys know that when you close a bolt on a semi-automatic gun, to get the best consistency, you want to have the bolt forward closed and then load your external magazine and then rack the bolt. And that way the bolt goes over the bullet, scars the top of it, and then pushes it in the loading ramp up into the barrel. And what that does is that leads to consistency, so the next follow-up shots, will be the most consistent. So instead of that cold bore shot right here, they'd be all bunched up right here like the rest of the 4 are. But even then, if it doesn't do that, if it doesn't work and you're still getting a cold bore shot like this gun, for example, you have to have the bolt pretty much closed anyway. If you own this gun, you pretty much know what I'm talking about. You have to close the bolt and put the magazine in and then do it, because it won't work anyway. It won't load a bullet because the bolt's too far forward in front of the bullet. Then you have to load it. So even then, standard velocity CCI ammo, still throwing a cold bore shot. Perfect example, like I said. After hundreds of rounds, break-in period, you know, you name it, I tuned it, nothing changed. So I was kind of stumped. Well, then I remember, you know, if you guys watch the channel long enough, I slugged the barrel when I first got this gun. So I knew that the CCIs would shoot good out of it, because slugging a barrel, specifically a 22 LR, Sammy Specs, according to Sammy Specs, ammunition for 22 LR varies from 2255 down to 2210. So what that means is there's a variance between manufacturers, between each bullet they make. So if you buy the same, you know, bullet like standard velocity 40 grain, you're going to get the same, you know, measurements. And I have every pack I've gotten .2225 bullet diameter. But that's what happens. The rule of thumb is to shoot .001 over your groove diameter. So groove diameter, bore diameter, I keep using those intermittently, but the biggest one is the one you got to worry about, which is .2220 for this gun, which is, a lot of people don't know this, but this barrel, the groove diameter is the exact same as a Ruger 1022. That's why the Ruger 1022 shoots the standard velocity very well. But the only difference is, even though they have the same groove diameter, the bore diameter is different. The bore diameter of the Savage is .2218, and the bore diameter of the Ruger is .2217. So I know that doesn't sound like much, but when you're shooting ammo, and a little bit matters big time downrange, specifically if you're shooting farther ranges. So I tried everything I could to get the flyer out, and eventually I thought about it. Like I said, the first shot was throwing, and I finally just realized that when you shoot that first shot, the barrel is not warmed up. So if the barrel warmed up following the consistent shots, or the next shots that you shot for the group, that means that the rifling going down the barrel had to constrict. So like I said, .2220 for the groove diameter. The actual barrel itself, the whole twist and everything, groove and lands, constricted, causing the follow-up shots to be more accurate. But I wanted to knock out the flyer. So how do you do that? Well, I switched ammunition. Even though I loved CCI standard velocity, like I said, the Ruger 1022 was throwing the first shot, cold bore shot, flyer, whatever you want to call it. I had to switch ammunition. And so I found an ammunition that was so close to CCI, but it was just a hair. The diameter was just bigger, and knocked out the flyers. That's pretty much it. That's what it come down to. I had to switch ammunition, and that is a Gila 22 standard velocity super extra. Now the big difference between these two ammunitions is that this one is .2225, this one is .2230. so that gun is .2220 groove diameter. What that means is, rule of thumb, this is the one to start out with anyway. But I've been shooting these, and like I said, the cold bore shot, first shot flyer didn't really bother me that much, but I just wanted to see if I could knock it out. And what's funny is, these are actually less expensive. I'm picking these up for $2.99 a box of 50. I'm picking these up for $3.47 a box of 50. So with that being said, you know, you got your gun tuned like I do. I figured out how to tune the barrel, all this and that, and you're still getting a cold bore shot on the first shot. You got to switch different ammo. If you tried everything in the book, tip, trick, whatever it is, and you're still getting that first cold bore shot, it's because your ammunition is just a hair too small. You need to go with something bigger. Like I said, .2230 bullet diameter and .2225 bullet diameter. Now, there is also some noticeable differences, which I found out that the CCI ammo is pretty close to Sammy Spec, but not being the actual diameter. The CCI ammo standard velocity is almost 1 inch in overall length. The Aguila is like 0.975 of an inch overall length. So what that tells you right there, number one, is that the bullet is shorter and fatter. I mean, the diameter is bigger overall versus these bullets. So that's how you do it. That's how you knock out those first shot cold bore flyers in rimfire. If you already have your gun tuned or bedded, whatever it is that you want to do to your gun, and it's still shooting like that, you know, you have to switch ammunition. There were some other things I had to do to this gun because, like I said, out of the box it wasn't that great. But moving on now to center fire. So if you have that problem in your center fire rifle, which most typically it'd be a semi-automatic, and I've had that problem cold bore shot in my AR-15, and the reason why is in my 300 blackout, you got to load the magazine and have the bolt closed in the gun first of all, lock the magazine in, and then rack the slide back. That way the bullet gets scarred as the bolt goes back like you would in a follow-up shot, and then it closes and gets all your marks on the bullets, because consistency is key. And if you're, you know, load the magazine with the bolt open and then close the bolt with the bolt latch, and you know, it just closes it and closes on the bullet, that's not the same action as it does when you're doing follow-up shots. It's not going back and forth. So that's pretty much how you do that. Now if you have a bolt action rifle and you have a stack magazine where you got to load the bullets down in, that's the same way. Close the bolt, load the bullets in like that from underneath if you can, and then open your bolt, slide it back, close it. So that's pretty much how you do that, guys. And this is specifically if you're getting cold bore or first shot flyers, and the rest of them are grouping up. You know, flyers are hard to explain, but this is one way to explain the first shots. So that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys watching as always. I hope you got something out of this video. We'll see you on the next one.